Have you ever felt like you're playing a game, but you don't know the rules? Or maybe the rules you were taught just don't seem to work anymore. That whole path, get good grades, find a safe job, climb the ladder, it feels like a map to a place that doesn't even exist now. If that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to break down some powerful advice from entrepreneur Daniel Priestley on how to actually win in this new digital age. Man, this quote really hits home, doesn't it? It just perfectly nails that feeling of being stuck, invisible, and just completely overwhelmed. It's that pain of working so hard but feeling like you're not getting anywhere. But what if there was a new playbook, a new set of rules for this new economy? Well, there is.
So here's the roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll get real about why the old rules are just completely broken. Then, we'll look at the new path forward, which is all about building a personal brand. After that, we'll dive into a really cool tactic called the 7-11-4 attention hack. We'll also cover how to test your big ideas so you don't waste time, and we'll wrap up with a super important mindset shift about appreciating the value you already have.
Okay, let's get right into it. The heart of the problem is this. Our entire system, especially education, was designed for the Industrial Revolution. But we're not in that world anymore. We're deep in the digital age, and the game has fundamentally changed.
The old path was so straightforward, right? You gain some skills, you get a job, you find an employer, and you have a career. But look at the reality today. AI can do a lot of skilled jobs. Those so-called safe jobs, they're an illusion. And finding a great employer who's hiring, it's tougher than ever. The idea of a linear career is basically gone. We were trained for a world that's vanishing right before our eyes.
And this is a big reason why so many people feel invisible. Just look at a platform like LinkedIn. Out of its billion or so users, a wild 99% are lurkers. They're just scrolling, consuming, and observing. Only 1% are actually publishing content every week. The entire game has shifted from just consuming to creating, but almost nobody is actually playing.
So, if that old path is a dead end, what's the new one? Well, it's about a total shift in how you see yourself. It's about going from being a cog in a machine to becoming what Priestley calls a key person of influence in your field.
And here it is. This is the new rule for success, plain and simple. It's not enough to just be skilled anymore. You have to build a personal brand around what makes you unique. And then, this is key, you have to attach that brand to a business model that can actually grow. Now, let's be super clear. When we say personal brand, we are not talking about being a typical social media influencer who just promotes themselves. A key person of influence, or KPI, is totally different. They operate in a specific, high-value niche, and they're known for promoting ideas and real solutions. Their authority comes from the value they give away, and that is what inspires people to actually take action and, eventually, to buy.
Okay, so you're sold on the idea. But how in the world do you actually build that influence and get remembered when there's so much noise out there? This is where it gets really fun and tactical. Priestley has this simple but absolutely brilliant framework for cutting through all that clutter.
It all boils down to this one question. How do you create that feeling? You know the one, that feeling of knowing, liking, and trusting someone, even if you've never met them. It's what researchers call a parasocial relationship, and it's the absolute key to building a brand online.
It starts with the magic number 7. To build that real, genuine sense of trust, someone needs to spend about 7 hours consuming your content. That could be watching your videos, listening to your podcast interviews, or reading your articles. 7 hours.
Then you need 11 different interactions. 11 touch points. This is what it takes for your message to really stick in their brain and for you to become memorable. It's about repetition.
And finally, number 4. They need to bump into you in at least 4 different places. They see you on LinkedIn, then they watch you on YouTube, then they hear you on a podcast, and then they land on your website. It's that combination of time, repetition, and being in multiple places that creates this powerful sense of trust and authority.
Think about it. Our brains are basically wired to delete almost everything we see and hear all day. But there are a few things that manage to sneak past the filter. Things that are scary, strange, or sexy tend to stick. But for building a business, the 2 most powerful and practical tools you have are giving away free value and becoming familiar. And that 7-11-4 hack we just talked about, that is your exact blueprint for becoming familiar.
Okay, so you're building a brand, you're using the 7-11-4 hack to get attention. Awesome. But hang on. How do you know if anyone will actually pay for what you're creating? Before you build anything, you have to test the demand.
This is such a critical mindset shift. The old way was all about supply. You'd build the product, write the whole book, create the entire course, and then you'd cross your fingers and hope someone would buy it. The new way flips that completely. You focus on demand first. You test if people even want the thing before you pour your heart, soul, and money into it.
And a really powerful, simple tool for testing that demand is something called the situational model. It's just a simple framework for getting inside your potential customer's head, and it all comes down to asking 4 key questions.
And these are the questions. You can use them in a simple survey, on a waitlist form, or just in a conversation. First, where are you right now? Second, where do you want to be? Third, what's getting in your way? And fourth, what do you see as the easiest path to get there? I'm telling you, the answers you get from these 4 questions are pure gold for creating an offer people actually want. And this new approach to testing demand plugs into a new business model too. This strategy is to give away incredible free value to the 90% of your audience. They hold about 40% of the budget. Then you focus on monetizing the top 10%. These are the people who have 60% of the spending power, and they're the ones you sell your premium, rare, or special offers to.
All right, we're at the last section, and honestly, this might be the most important part of all, because none of the tactics, none of the frameworks will work without the right mindset. It's all about recognizing the incredible value you already have.
Priestley tells this great story about climbing a mountain. When he got to the top, he immediately started looking at the next, even bigger mountain on the horizon. But his guide stopped him and said this. He said, "You need to learn to appreciate the mountain you're already standing on." What a perfect metaphor, right? We're so often focused on what's next that we completely miss the value that's right under our feet.
So, what is your mountain? It's everything that makes you, you. It's your unique story, your background, your experiences. It's all the problems you've already solved for yourself. And your relatability? That's a massive asset. The people who are just a few steps behind you on the path can learn way more from you than from some guru who's 20 steps ahead. This brings it all together into the entrepreneurial sweet spot. It's that magic intersection of 3 things: what you're genuinely passionate about, a real problem in the world that you can solve, and this is the non-negotiable part, something that people will actually pay to have solved.
So the biggest takeaway from all of this is that you don't need to go out and find a mountain of value. You are already standing on one. The only real question left to ask is, what is the first story you're going to publish from the top?
And hey, if you found this discussion useful, maybe learned something new, definitely hit that subscribe button. We do these deep dives regularly, exploring valuable ideas.